In Gotham, Bruce Wayne flies over the city thinking of all the crime happening down there under the shadows. Meanwhile, Jim Gordon is on his way as well to start working as a lieutenant in Gotham, and he already hates it. It is January 4th, and Detective Flass welcomes Jim by saving him from a beggar and manhandling him, saying cops got it made in Gotham. Bruce is welcomed back to the city after spending the last 12 years abroad, having now returned at the age of 25. Amidst the news, conspiracy charges have been suspiciously dropped against Commissioner Loeb. Loeb welcomes Jim to the team and hints for him to be crooked. Back at Wayne Manor, Alfred is reunited with Bruce, and they have much work ahead of them. Meanwhile, Flass gives Jim a ride along and abuses his power, while Jim monitors his actions to use them against him later on. Bruce visits his parents' grave, still mourning their death heavily. At night, Flass is tailing someone and flips their car over. He stresses that they need to count on Jim. Sus. He later goes home to sleep with the whole thing weighing heavily on his mind. On February 21st, Bruce is training for what he is going to become, but he thinks he's still not ready. On February 26th, Flass complains to Loeb about Jim, and they are both annoyed that he's a clean cop. So on March 11th, Jim is given the night shifts as punishment, and he's jumped by a bunch of crooks. He handles them, but he gets caught from behind, and then beaten to a pulp before being given a warning. At the same time, Bruce prepares to do some recon, and he starts walking through the degenerate city. Disgusted by what he is seeing, he finds a young girl with a pimp, and he decides to intervene. He's quickly surrounded by filth, but just as quick, he beats up the pimp. Suddenly, the girl stabs him in the leg, but he still takes everyone out until a familiar Selina tries to fight him. The police arrive to stop them, and he gets shot for no reason. Bruce wakes up in the back of a police car, and as you'd expect, all chaos ensues, causing them to violently crash. He escapes the fire but hesitantly saves the dirty cops from the explosion before jacking a car to escape. Meanwhile, Jim barely avoids his car while on his way to tail Flass. He follows him and rams his car off the road. As Flass is crawling out, Jim menacingly confronts and hands him a baseball bat to even the fight before beating the crap out of him. Don't mess around with Jim Gordon. Finally, he leaves Flass naked in the dirt to ponder about his actions. Back at Wayne Manor, Bruce drags himself home, tired of waiting around to fix the city. He remembers that night going home when his parents were murdered in front of him in cold blood. A night that would shape the man he is about to become. Suddenly, the sign he's waiting for crashes through a window in the form of a bat, and right there, he knows. On April 4th, Jim is stuck in traffic, and he hears on the radio of a hostage situation. He hurries to get there, and barely stops a SWAT team from escalating the situation. Deciding to handle it himself, he drops his gun and heads inside the building to talk to the gunman. He's confronted by the crazy man, and he quickly disarms him before finding a bunch of children inside. On April 5th, the cops have had enough of him and want something done, but they have to be patient. April 6th comes, and Jim is managing a pregnant wife alongside the job that he hates. He is sad to bring a child into a city with no hope, but little does he know that hope lurks in the shadows. On April 9th, Jim's massage is interrupted by a call informing him of a giant bat roaming the streets. Batman makes his debut, scaring the hell out of thugs and taking them out, but with a degree of difficulty. On May 15th, Detective Essen is introduced to help out with the Batman investigation. Jim explains that Batman has carried out 70 assaults in just 5 weeks, operating late at night and working his way up the crime ladder. Even the cops can get these hands. Flass recalls a fake story in which Batman came in and terrorized everyone before beating him up. On May 19th, Batman drugs a bunch of drivers at a dinner party for the corrupt elites of the city. They are discussing Batman who's hurting their business, but then he crashes their party with a gas bomb before going in the dark. He delivers a chilling warning to all of them that no one is safe.
Ah, chills. Literal chills.
The very next day on May 20th, Loeb warns Jim that Batman has to go.
It's time to go!
On June 2nd, a woman gets attacked by a man with a knife so Batman can intervene.
It's a trap!
They're trying to bait Batman to lock him up and fail. On June 5th, Falcone's car is taken and his men find him tied up by Batman in a weird position. Now, everyone definitely wants him dead. June 6th arrives, and Jim is dumbfounded by his inability to catch Batman. He questions Harvey Dent on his whereabouts, suspecting that he might be the Bat. But little does he know that the real Batman is hiding in the shadows, and in with Dent. Jim is amazed at how Batman does what he does. Essen suggests that it might be Bruce Wayne since he has the money and motivation, but their train of thought is quickly interrupted by a sleeping truck driver. Jim quickly intervenes, but it's Batman who saves an old woman from being hit. Essen quickly pulls a gun on Batman, but he takes her out and escapes just as backup arrives. He is shot and escapes into a building where a chopper arrives to drop a bomb on him to make sure he's dead. He falls through the building and narrowly avoids getting crushed. In the distance, Selina wakes up to observe the news. A SWAT team arrives, hell-bent on killing Batman with no questions asked. Selina decides to gear up. SWAT enters and starts to open fire randomly. They go down to a basement, and Batman silently takes out a couple of them. He locks a bunch down the basement and gasses the rest before massacring them. Jim refuses to help them, but Loeb arrives with a sniper to take him out. Batman creeps in the shadows with limited options. He uses an ultrasonic device to call for backup. An officer checks out a spot, and Batman darts him before running through the fire to save a cat. Selina is touched. Enraged, SWAT continues firing until Batman knocks down a pillar and smashes the officer. Suddenly, bats overrun the entire area, and Batman cleans house inside. His bats come in to aid him, and he escapes amid the chaos. The chopper chases him, but the sniper is blocked by the bats, and the rest of the cops crash down the river. In the aftermath, everyone has to be vaccinated and the men go to the hospital, with key witnesses disappearing as well. On June 9th, Alfred tells Jim that Bruce has been skiing in Switzerland and he broke both legs and arm, which Essen says would be the perfect excuse to cover up bullet wounds. On June 17th, Selina punches her pimp, deciding to finally change her ways. Meanwhile, Jim is drinking coffee with Essen. He says that he's here in Gotham because he took down a dirty cop. She holds his hand and they kiss outside in the rain. "You're married, Jim." Selina gears up and heads out as Catwoman for the first time. Jim cheats on his pregnant wife, and he is tormented by his actions. He's also thinking about whether Batman is the good guy or not in this city. On September 2nd, he ends things with Essen and she says that she'll request a transfer. Lucky for Bruce. Later, on September 12th, Jim interrogates a criminal to give up Flass, but the criminal walks out free anyway. Batman creeps outside his house as he gets paid, but then he's smashed by Batman who terrorizes him. The next day, the criminal gives up Flass. On September 14th, Flass is put on trial, and Loeb grills Jim for not informing him and blackmails him with pictures of Essen. On September 25th, his wife notices that something is wrong, but Jim tells her that he has to interview Bruce, and they visit his mansion. Bruce introduces himself, putting up a front as a jerk, knowing full well that they suspect him. Jim sees past this and says that he's only acting like one. Suddenly, he decides to confess to his wife everything while Batman observes. On October 2nd, Jim interrogates Flass, and on October 5th, Jim's wife receives a call, but she already knows of her husband's infidelity. On October 7th, the criminal is put in a coma after being poisoned. October 10th, Jim confronts Loeb, telling him that the snitch is still going to snitch. On October 12th, Jim's baby is delivered. Selina monitors the case and decides to do something stupid. On November 2nd, Batman glides through the air to Falcone's place, listening in on Falcone's plans. Catwoman crashes the place and takes out the guards before being surrounded, but Batman intervenes and saves her before vanishing. On November 3rd, Bruce is training while reviewing his recording. Meanwhile, Selina is enraged that she's not getting any credit on the news. In the hospital, Falcone decides that all bets are off. They plan to target Jim's son, and his phone rings during the night. Jim is told to come to the station, and just as he leaves, someone else speeds to the building. Jim turns back and finds his wife and son getting kidnapped. He's forced to shoot one of the assailants and the car takes off with his son. He shoots a bike man and chases after the car, but it was Bruce who was on the bike, and continues after on foot, moving from on top of the buildings in broad daylight. Jim is still chasing after the car with Bruce right behind. Jim shoots a tire and checks the car but is attacked and knocked down as he tries to fight back. He is struggling from on top of the bridge with his baby on the line. All three of them fall, but Bruce grabs and saves the baby. Jim's wife arrives to see that they're all fine. Jim tells him that he's practically blind without his glasses and doesn't know that it's Bruce Wayne. In the aftermath, Flass gives up everything he has on Loeb, and Jim is promoted as everyone else goes down in the case. Finally, on December 3rd, Jim fears the arrival of someone named the Joker, but his old pal Batman is going to help him. This was an amazing Batman origin story in his first year of donning the cape. We got to see how he came to be the terrifying bat that he is today, and how his environment forced him to adapt to become Batman. Well, this brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me what you think about this film. What do you think of Batman's origin story? Do you think DC should do more of these styles of films and provide us with a deeper insight into every character? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.